Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today on our tour of the Costa Blanca of Alicante, we visit Javea, whose municipality we have already started to enjoy in the Cape of the Nao, and from which today we will visit its beaches, the port and its historic center. And if you like our video, do not forget to like it, subscribe and activate notifications so that you know when we upload a new video. We begin our visit to Javea on the Arenal beach, at one of whose ends is the Acequia de la Noria, which are the remnants of the Roman era, of a canal excavated and carved in the rock, and that corresponds to an ancient sewerage that facilitated the entry of seawater to an inland area, to an area of salines, known as the saladar. In the medieval era, a treadmill moved by an animal was incorporated, and that with a large vertical wheel of wood, sent the water to the salines, hence the name of the Acequia de la Noria. The Arenal beach is located in the center of the Bay of Javea, and it is undoubtedly the beach most known and frequented by swimmers, for its fine sand and its shallow waters, standing out in its core for its extensive offer of leisure and gastronomy, which has experienced a great growth during the last years, for enjoyment of the inhabitants of Javea and tourists. At the other end of the beach, we find the fishing factory Punta del Arenal, also known as the Queen's Baths, and which are the remains of the Roman era of a factory making fish salts. Here we find a large pond excavated in the rock, where according to the legend, a queen was bathing, hence the nickname of the place, although it did not meet such a royal task, and was part of the salad factory. The visit to the historic town of Javea will begin the next day, so we will take advantage of what remains of the afternoon to visit the port, where stands out a very unique construction, the Church of Our Lady of Loreto, inaugurated in the year 1967, built over a small chapel built in 1914. This church, without a doubt, is a religious building of the most original and interesting, and an example of contemporary religious architecture. Built with concrete, it has a single oval-shaped ship, and on its roof, the red pine wooden cover in the shape of a boat keel represents the fisherman's boat. The interior, as you can see, is very sober, highlighting the great Christ suspended on the main altar. At the exit of this original church, as is our custom, we get lost in the streets of this beautiful and quiet fishing neighborhood, with strong seafaring character, and with ancient fishers' houses on the ground floor. We leave the fishing neighborhood and head to the harbor, and if you like to eat fish, you can pass through the fish slice, where you will find exquisite and fresh fish. Taking advantage of the tranquility of the port in December, and before heading to Javea to spend the night, we relax from all the hustle of the day, strolling through the harbor bridges and enjoying a beautiful sunset. And from the promenade adorned for the Christmas season, we said goodbye to the port of Javia, to begin the next morning our visit to the historic center of the city. After visiting the Arenal beach and the port of Javea, we started the visit to the historic center of the town, the so-called medieval VR, a small enclosure closed by a 14th century wall, and that encompassed in its interior a chain of narrow streets. Through one of these narrow streets, and beautifully adorned with flowers, we head to the center of the historic villa. It is Christmas, and from afar I can already hear the noise of the Christmas market, which is being celebrated in the church square, a square where we find the town hall in neoclassical style, and which occupies part of what in its origin was a hermitage dedicated to St. Christopher. The former hermitage was later converted into a public school, and later in the Chapel of the Virgin of the Helpless until 1890, when it became definitively the town hall. But the main building of the square is the fortress Church of St. Bartholomew, whose origin dates back to the 14th century, and the need to defend itself from the attacks of corsaries and pirates led to the construction of various elements of defense, such as the battlements that are no longer preserved or loopholes. As for the interior, the decorative elements are scarce as a result of the expoliation in successive wars, mainly the Civil War. We leave the square by the Cara Major, one of the main streets of the old village, which, although as narrow as the others, is surrounded by ostentatious houses that were the home of the local mercantile bourgeoisie, which enriched itself with the exports of raisins. Among these houses, we find the House Lambert or House of Tenor, built in 1857, and that was a pharmacy at the beginning of the century, until it was acquired by the municipality, which rehabilitated it as a building for cultural activities. At the end of the Cara Major, we find the square of the convent, named so because in the 17th century a convent was erected here, which was destroyed in the Civil War, and another convent of nuns of closure was re-erected in 1946. Near the convent square, on a wider street, we can observe a reconstruction of the walls of the villa, which follows the same route as the original walls, which were demolished in the year 1874 to undertake the urban expansion of the village. In a nearby square we find a unique construction, a Riurau, a rectangular construction with large arches, which served to protect from moisture the grape spread while drying, and which was subsequently exported, generating in Javea a wealthy mercantile bourgeoisie. We headed back to the center, and on one of the sides, we found the Municipal Market, built in the same place that in the 17th century there was a convent, which during the Civil War was destroyed by the Municipal Council with the intention of building in its place a covered market, but the war stopped the project, and it was not until 1946 when the market was inaugurated, built following a style that did not break with the church. Near the church square we find the Archaeological and Ethnographic Museum, located in the palace house Antoni Barngels, which was a notable figure of his time and steward of Philip III. In this building, erected in the 17th century, and which was significantly reformed in the 19th century, in the year 1977 began its activity the museum, whose visit is a trip through the history of Javia. In its rooms divided between the 3 floors of the palace house, you can see pieces of prehistory, as well as vestiges of Iberian, Roman, Muslim and medieval settlements extending to the present time. And here we end our visit to the medieval villa of Javia, small but with a great cultural heritage, which deserves a visit at any time of the year. And as a culmination to our weekend on the Costa Blanca, we headed very close to Javia. For this we moved to Cape San Antonio, a rocky promontory of more than 150 meters above the Mediterranean Sea, and where there is a lighthouse that was lit for the first time in 1855, in which, above all, you will enjoy from its viewpoint a spectacular panorama of the Costa Blanca, both to the north and to the south.